She mocked me, lied to my staff, and tried to get a free meal by pretending to know the boss. Joke was on her. The man she belittled was the one who built it all. It was the third time that day someone barked an order at me like I was invisible, but this time it broke something in me. The woman in the black heels, overdressed for a snowstorm, stormed into my restaurant, flanked by 5 other girls, lips glossy, eyes hungry. "We'll take the VIP table. I know the owner," she declared, like I was the coat check boy. I looked up from the host stand. Her confidence was surgical, calculated. One of the baby-faced girls behind her was already filming. I took a slow breath. Of course. Name on the reservation? No reservation, Queen Bee snapped. Like I said, I know the owner. He told me to come anytime. You can seat us now. Here's the problem. She was talking to the owner. I built this place with my own hands. When I was 15, I was sweeping the old hardwood floors here for $10 and a leftover cannoli. My grandparents opened this restaurant after immigrating from Italy. My parents expanded it. Then they passed it on to me when their arthritis got worse and Florida's warmth pulled them south. The deed has my name on it. But she couldn't see past the jacket I wore, or maybe she didn't want to. To her, I was just a waiter standing in her way. I didn't tell her who I was. Not yet. Because something in her tone, it made me curious. This woman, dressed like she'd spent 3 hours curling her hair and another 2 rehearsing her lies, had a plan. I wanted to see it unravel. So I asked for an ID and a card to keep on file, standard for our VIP bookings. She tossed over her Amex like it was a crown. "Tonight's on me, girls," she said, posing for the iPhone cameras. "First drinks are free. That's how it works when you know the boss." I smiled. "Yes, ma'am. Enjoy your night." What I didn't tell her was that VIP tables came with a special menu, one without prices. Because if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Truffle-infused everything. Imported oysters, gold-dusted desserts. And the drinks? They weren't on the happy hour menu. They were crafted by a mixologist who used to work in Monaco. I should have walked away. I should have let it go. But then, while they waited for their 4th round of martinis, one of them looked me in the eye and said, "Is it depressing to, just be a waiter? Is that what you wanted to be when you were little?" I stared at her. A girl who thought ambition meant stealing tables and posting filters. That's when I knew. I wasn't just going to serve them. I was going to serve them something they'd never forget. The irony didn't just sting, it marinated. I had built this restaurant from the cracked concrete up. I'd spent nights sleeping in my office during renovations because the construction crew kept ghosting me. I'd taken out a loan that made my stomach ache every time I checked the balance. And now, some girl who probably Googled how to pretend you know a restaurant owner on the way over was asking me if I was disappointed in my life choices. I watched her laugh while sipping something she couldn't pronounce. One of her friends, the one with the platinum hair and visible contempt for everyone, whispered loudly, "He's kinda cute for a server. He'd be hot if he didn't reek of poor." That one hit a little sideways. Not because I cared about their opinion, but because I realized they weren't dumb. They were cruel. There's a difference. At that moment, one of my junior servers passed by and whispered in my ear, "They're saying you'll do anything for pretty girls. That you'll always make space." He looked shaken. "They're bragging about messing with you. Said they'll get more free stuff if they flirt harder." I felt something in me settle. Not rage. Not humiliation. Focus. The table they sat at was a marble-inlaid corner nook with custom wine chillers, velvet chairs, and a single candle made by a perfumer in Milan. I'd once served Martin Scorsese there. It was the table food critics requested when they came through Toronto. And now these girls were smearing lipstick on the glasses and insulting my staff in between burping truffle foam. But I let it play out. "More drinks, ladies?" I asked, perfectly polite. "This round will be added to the tab. Just a heads up." They waved me off. "Of course, sweetie. It's all comped anyway," Queen Bee purred. They had no idea the first 3 rounds were complimentary, as a courtesy. Everything after that was climbing fast into triple digits. And this menu? No prices listed. It's a psychological trick common in high-end restaurants. Without numbers, you order with ego, not caution. They'd racked up nearly $1,200 by appetizer alone, and I hadn't even brought out the scallop tower yet. Halfway through the night, I saw Queen Bee get up and take a selfie in the bathroom mirror, clutching her drink like it was an Oscar. I followed her phone trail to her open Instagram stories. When you're besties with the owner nail polish gemstone, Hashtag VIP vibes. I screenshotted it for later. Because here's the thing about people like her. They think everyone's just a player in their movie. Extras in their storyline. They assume the quiet guy in the blazer is beneath them. They think kindness equals weakness. So when she came back and clinked her glass with the others, I checked on them one last time. Dessert? I asked. Something expensive, one of them said, laughing. Like, your rent or whatever. Perfect, I smiled. Coming right up. I turned and caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. For a split second, I saw 15-year-old me sweeping crumbs off the floor with blistered hands. I saw my nana teaching me to make sauce from scratch while opera played in the background. I saw my dad sanding that same VIP table with a borrowed belt sander because we couldn't afford a new one. And now, here I was, serving gourmet brulee to people who thought I was disposable. But I had a plan, and Queen Bee was about to get the check that came with her crown. The first time I ever served someone, I dropped a bowl of minestrone on a banker's lap. He was wearing a pinstripe suit and didn't look at me when it happened, just let out this long, disappointed sigh. I was 15, and my nana had given me a kiss on the forehead that morning and told me, don't serve food, serve pride. That memory came rushing back while I plated the tiramisu tower with the same trembling hands that once cleaned urinals during the lunch rush. One of the girls at the VIP table hiccuped and asked if I could add gold flakes like the Kardashians do. I wanted to laugh, not because it was funny, but because they didn't know I used to do exactly that for celebrities who actually paid their bills. As I waited for the kitchen to finish torching the brulee platter, I ducked into my office to breathe. That's when I saw it. The old photo still pinned above my desk. Me, 15, skinny as hell, wearing an apron too big for my body, standing next to Nana in front of the original restaurant sign. Trattoria di Luce. The D was missing because the sign had been cracked in a storm, but she never fixed it. We are not perfect, she told me, so the sign should not be either. In that moment, staring at her crooked smile, something clicked. This wasn't about a table. It wasn't about cocktails or shellfish or a $4,000 bill. It was about dignity. And I remembered the day I lost it. It was a snowy evening years ago, before the renovation, before the Michelin shout-out, before the loan I nearly drowned under. I was working a double shift because a dishwasher quit mid-lunch and the oven was shorting out. I had just mopped the entire kitchen floor when a group of influencers walked in without a reservation. They claimed they knew the chef and demanded the best seat in the house. I gave it to them. They mocked me openly, asked me if I ever wanted to do something real, filmed me cleaning their spilled wine as if it were comedy. I went home that night, looked at myself in the mirror, and promised, I will never again apologize for what I've built. So as I stepped back into the dining room, watching Queen Bee drunkenly smear lipstick on her wine glass, I no longer saw a customer. I saw a test. One of the baby Karens whispered something to another, and they both giggled while glancing at me. He probably lives with his mom, she said, just loud enough. I placed the tiramisu tower on the table with steady hands. Anything else for you ladies tonight? Queen Bee slurred. We'll take one more bottle of the, what's it called, Mosé? You mean the Moat and Chandon? Yeah, whatever. Just bring the fancy stuff. You got it. As I walked away, I saw the bartender raise an eyebrow. You sure about this? He whispered. Run the tab, I replied. They're learning. Back at the host stand, I checked their bill. $3,478.92, not including tip. I printed the check, tucked it into the black leather folder, and walked it over. When Queen Bee opened it, her face transformed. Confusion first, then panic, then that quiet, trembling sort of rage people get when they realize they're not in control anymore. What the hell is this? She asked, barely above a whisper. That's your tab, ma'am. You enjoyed the VIP experience tonight. Everything on the elite menu. But the owner said, I know. You told me. But, she fumbled, pulling out her phone. Look at this. See, it says, loose owner, he texted me. He said it was on the house. I took her phone and opened the contact. It was clearly renamed. Messages freshly deleted. A few see you soon lines from someone she probably conned into playing along. That's not my number, I said calmly, handing the phone back. Her face drained of color. Would you like me to call the real owner? I asked, tone razor flat. Her voice wavered. I leaned down, met her eyes. You're looking at him. Her mouth fell open, but no sound came out. The table was silent. Even the baby Karens were frozen now, wide-eyed, wine glasses hovering midair like some awful still life painting. And suddenly, I was 15 again. But this time, I wasn't apologizing. I've seen grown men cry over food. Mostly joy, sometimes heartbreak. Once, a man wept after eating his late mother's carbonara recipe, our exact replica. But Queen Bee, her tears weren't about pasta. They were the kind you cry when the world refuses to play by your script. $4, 232, 37, she whispered again, as if repeating the number might make it disappear. I stood silently. Let her sit with it. No, she said, pushing the folder toward me. There's no way this is real. You didn't tell us the prices. There weren't any on the menu. That's correct, I said evenly. Our VIP experience doesn't list prices by design. But you signed off for it when I took your card and ID earlier. And I reminded you the complimentary drinks ended after the third round. She blinked fast. One of the girls elbowed another. A nervous giggle escaped someone's mouth, sharp and dry. Wait, one of them whispered. This isn't a joke? Queen Bee fumbled for her bag. Her fingers were shaking, her credit card now a lifeline she wasn't sure would hold. I need a manager, she snapped. Right now. I tilted my head. Ma'am, I am the manager, and the owner, and the person you threatened to fire 3 hours ago. Her mascara was starting to smear. Listen, just cut it in half. I'll cover that. But I'm a friend of the owner, okay? It's just been a miscommunication. We can all laugh about this later. I crossed my arms, leaned closer. No, Karen, we won't. That's when she flipped her phone around, desperate. Look, this text, see? It says dinner on me, owner. I took the phone again, clicked into the contact. Changed recently. Messages missing. Contact photo, our logo. Name, loose owner. I scrolled to info. There it was, her friend's number with a recent name change and a few fabricated messages. Ma'am, I said, my voice quiet but firm. This isn't my number. And I don't give strangers VIP tables over text. You lied. And now you want to negotiate. I didn't lie, she whispered. It was just an assumption. No, I said. It was entitlement. I placed the folder gently on the table. We have your credit card. An ID. You can pay now. Or I can call the cops. Either way, the bill's not changing. The girls began to rustle. One of them, the soft-voiced one with a nervous twitch, murmured, Do you take Venmo? Another girl yanked open her clutch and fished out a crumpled wad of 20s. One reached into her bra for a credit card. They started whispering to each other, calculating, tapping furiously on phones. Karen sat frozen, cheeks wet, breathing in short, shallow gasps. I left them to it. Back at the host stand, I kept my hands busy, wiping menus, straightening wine glasses, while the final hour of service trickled by. I heard laughter from another table. Real laughter. Not forced, not filtered. A couple celebrating their anniversary. A dad trying to cut his daughter's steak without her noticing. Then my floor manager approached. Hey, he said softly. There's a man here. Asking for you. Says he's her father. I turned. There he was, gray coat, stormy eyes, stern lips pressed into a line. Queen Bee was standing beside him now, head down like a child caught shoplifting. I want to see the footage, he said simply. I led them both into my office. I didn't even have to search. The VIP table has high-quality audio and visual, installed after a lawsuit involving a guest spilling wine on a producer's wife and claiming the waiter pushed him. I hit play. We watched it all. From the moment she declared herself a personal friend of the owner to the mocking of my staff, to the line that sealed it. Honestly, he's just a server. I don't date people like that. Her father said nothing for a long time. When it ended, he stood and walked out without a word. I followed just in time to hear him mutter, You're paying it. Every cent. I never saw them again. But I kept a copy of the receipt, framed in my office, just above the espresso machine. Right beside the old photo of me and Nana. A reminder, not of revenge, but of boundaries. The restaurant emptied like a tide receding. Tablecloths pulled, lights dimmed, the scent of garlic and citrus fading into clove-scented floor polish. I walked the perimeter like I always did, fingertips tracing the backs of chairs, the soft sweep of leather and velvet calming me. I stopped at the VIP table. The candle was still flickering, its wax halo like a scar on the marble. The seat where Queen Bee had sat was crooked, as if someone had tried to flee mid-shame, and forgot their spine. She never apologized. Not once. But a week later, a handwritten letter arrived. No envelope. Just folded paper, slipped under the door. You humiliated me. You made me feel like trash. I deserved it. I'm sorry I said those things. I've been awful for a long time. I hope one day I can afford to eat at your table again. Not because I know someone, but because I earned it. There was no signature. Just a smear of pink lipstick in the corner. I kept it in the back of the house journal, the one we used for weird stories and staff birthdays. The staff talked about her for months. Queen Bee Karen became restaurant folklore, a warning tale wrapped in French 75s and Wagyu sliders. But I didn't tell them everything. I didn't tell them about what happened the next time a girl with a fake tan and real entitlement walked through those doors and tried the same line. I know the owner. I just smiled like always. So do I. Because here's the thing about people like her. They think power comes from pretending to know someone at the top. But I built the top. My hands laid the bricks. My sweat flavored the sauce. My name signed the lease. So when someone mocks me for being just a waiter, I smile. Because they don't know the truth. Waiters are watchers. We hear everything. Remember everything. And when the moment's right, we serve what's deserved. Hot, sharp, and with a lemon twist.